Should you be dating a single mom? Well, in this video, we're going to go through the pros and cons of dating single moms, along with some red flags and risks that you want to watch out for. Okay, let's go through the pluses first. So, what are some of the pluses of dating a single mom? Well, number one is there's probably going to be less competition because there are going to be some men out there who just simply won't want to date a single mom. So there will be fewer men for her to choose from. That gives you a little bit more leverage. Second thing is, if she's a good single mom, then she probably knows how to cook, at least a little bit, or she can put food on the table for her kids. And the third thing is, it's a built-in family, so you don't have to worry about whether or not she can have kids if you do want a family, or whether or not your swimmers are working. There's already one or more children there for you to father, and if you're looking to be a father and you don't want to have to go through the baby years, then you might be able to skip that. If she's a good mom, then she probably also has a higher degree of nurturing, stability, and financial responsibility. So those are all great qualities to be looking for in any woman, and you'll be able to see those if she's a single mom, if you look for them. The next thing is, you know what she's going to look like after giving birth. So you know how sometimes women might gain a little bit of weight and never lose it again after giving birth? Well, if she's already given birth, especially if she's given birth more than once, well, what you see is what you get. So you're not going to have to worry that there's going to be a bait and switch from having more kids down the road. Probably the way she looks is the way you're going to get her. So if that's important to you, and no problem if it is, I don't judge you for that. No one should judge you for that. Then you're already going to know what the bill of sale is or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Next, pro of dating a single mom is that if she's a good one, she probably has a higher desire for stability, longevity, and loyalty. So again, if she's a good mom, she's going to want what's best, not just for herself, but for her kids. So there's a greater chance of her being willing to work through things, because all relationships have difficulties, and to stick it through for the benefit of the family, not just run away at the first sign. So that's another one. And then the final thing is that, again, if she's a good one, then she's probably not a hoe out at the bar every weekend, just spreading them for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay, so those are the benefits, or the potential benefits. What about the cons? What about the things that are maybe not so great about potentially dating a single mom? Okay, well, those things are the big one. The one you must consider is that if things go sideways, you might be on the hook for her kid and herself as a dependent. You might be financially obligated legally to support that family. That's a reality. You have to consider that. So don't move forward without considering that very, very real possibility. If things don't work out, she's going to want to make sure that she's looking out for her own first. Next thing you have to consider is that if she's a good mom, her kids are going to be a priority, which means that you're not going to have as much freedom in that relationship. So, kids have schedules, kids get sick. Sometimes you just don't get to go and do the things you would get to do in a relationship with someone who doesn't have kids. And if she's a good mom, then yeah, her kids have to be her priority. So that's just something that you need to take into consideration. Another thing is the ex is forever. No matter how involved the father of the child is, unless they're passed away or perhaps incarcerated, a big red flag right there. But if the father is completely out of the picture, that's one thing. But if the father is in the picture, then you are going to be dealing with another parent and person who has been intimate with this woman. That might be a good relationship if they have a reasonable relationship, or it might be not a very good relationship. And if those kids are going to, daddy's on the weekend and daddy's not available, well, there's another, inconvenience for you, or something that you're just going to have to work around. And aside from any drama that could potentially be in the picture, even if she's amazing, he might have been really hurt by the breakup, and now you're dealing with, emotional baggage from a relationship you had nothing to do with. Real considerations here. Another negative, I've been a stepmom a few times, I know all about this one. you're not my daddy, or for women, you're not my mommy. So reality land is you do not have very much authority with somebody else's kids, and they are needy, selfish, nasty wee beings. That's just how kids are. That's how they're built. So you're going to have to negotiate expectations with the mom in order to be able to determine just how much influence you're going to have with those kids. And you may have to put up with some crap behavior from them, because if it's between you and the kids, again, if she's a good mom, she's going to have to put her kids first, depending on what the situation is, of course. So, that's for a deeper conversation. We'll leave that one alone. But just know that kids are not always fun. Another thing that may be a deterrent with dating single moms is that she may have physical changes that can influence what you do in the bedroom or how much you do in the bedroom. And in other words, she might have a lower libido, or she could have like the other physical effects of giving birth. I mean, that's like a friggin' watermelon that comes out of there. So, it's just reality land. So let's just hope that she's done her Kegels and she's, back on track with the JJ. That's fixable, but the libido thing, the hormone thing, that might not be fixable. So you definitely want to go in with eyes wide open, especially if you want to have another kid with this woman, because even though she might be, super keen right now, after a second or third child, things can change. And that's actually the case with anyone if you're going to have a child. So yeah, hormones change after giving birth sometimes, and it's not always the best thing for a relationship, especially for a guy. Another potential drawback to dating a single mom is going back to the kids. You can't be her priority until those kids are out on their own. So that, however old they are, that could be a few years, or that could be several years before they are not her priority and the dependents in the family relationship. So, you're just going to be limited a little bit by having a family until they're able to go out on their own. And then on that note, another thing might be that once they are gone, the dynamic in the relationship might change, because, people come together because they need each other or want each other or desire each other for different reasons. If the dynamics of a relationship change down the road, and this can happen in any couple's relationship where they have kids, as kids finally leave the house, they have nothing left in common, and they split up. Another potential drawback is that depending on how long she's been a single mom, if it's longer, then she may tend to be more bossy and dominant because she's had to play both roles for those children. And again, depending on how much the baby daddy is involved in the relationship, if there's no baby daddy, then she's having to direct that whole family situation. So it may take her some conscious effort to get back into her feminine. And there are things you can do to encourage that, but I'll save that for another video. But just know that initially she'll feel like she may have to lead and direct and schedule because she's just been so used to doing that. And then finally, a practical consideration is who's going to be in the will. Like if you both have assets, if she's got assets, when you're together for any length of time, is she going to want to will some of her assets, all of her assets, to her children? I mean, this will depend on how old they are and your financial situations. So that's just something to consider. There's too many variables to discuss here. So let's just now go into some of the things that you need to consider, and like the risks of dating a woman and some of the red flags that you want to watch for. So contrary to what you might think, if she doesn't make her kids a priority and she puts you above her kids, that's actually a red flag, because she should put her children first, at least for a period of time. And depending on how old they are, especially if they're younger, they need to come first. If somebody else comes before her children, then I would question her values. And because if she's that disloyal to her own, then how loyal can she be to you? Really bigger, better deal type of thing. So watch for that. Another red flag you want to consider is if she is super easy to hop in the sack with you, if she's super keen to hop in the sack with you really quickly, then that's actually a red flag. You might like that because you want to have sex, but if she's just willing to, again, just give it away for free to anyone showing up, then she might have ulterior motives, and that should be something that should give you concern. And even if she doesn't have ulterior motives that are maybe finances driven or getting pregnant real quick again or what have you, it's still something that you want to pay attention to, because she should be really being a little bit more chaste and vetting the prospects for whoever might be able or might be willing to step into these children or children's lives. So she should be a little bit choosy. Okay, another red flag is how many baby daddies does she have? So if she's got more than one baby daddy, you would definitely want to bring your own raincoat to the rain parade. You want to make sure that you wear a condom, because, you know, she could be looking for another support payment. Sad but true. Okay, and finally, the other red flag is how soon did she split with her ex after giving birth? Or did she even get to give birth? Did she split while she was pregnant? Did she split while the child was really young? The reason why you want to take note of this is because how willing is she going to be to stick through a relationship if she wasn't willing to stick through a relationship with her child or children's father, who should be the most important person that she tried with, because it's critical, especially nowadays, to try and keep the family unit together. There's no better father for a child than their own biological father, if he's a good man. And if he's not a good man, then that in itself should be a red flag as to how she decided to choose him. Why did she choose someone who wasn't a good man, and why did it not last long enough to provide a solid family unit for her kids? So those are the things that I've got, but there are good single moms out there. So I'll do another video for you on things to watch for if she's a good single mom and a good one to date. If you have any comments, write them below.